Noxcrew. Hey guys, it's Avondale. So, welcome to my channel. Super Hole in the Wall came out today, and it took a while to make, but I'm really happy with how it came out. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there that some of it I honestly didn't even know you could do until I made it. I did the behind the scenes video for Hole in the Wall on the main channel, but that's not really the target of Noxcrew Presents. That's more cinematic, sort of finished product type of thing. So this channel is my outlet to be able to do the behind the scenes content that I like doing. So I'll be able to show off some more of my projects eventually, such as Joffrey's Chamber and some work that I'll do on Super Steve Runner as well. But for now, let's talk about Super Hole. So I knew before we even released Hole in the Wall as a concept that we needed to elaborate it to make it something that had a replayability value. So the goal with making Super Hole in the Wall was taking everything above and beyond. We knew first of all that we need really interesting features to make people want to replay it. So the first thing I looked into was having more walls, making sure they're in a random order, and making sure we can have bigger walls. On top of that, somewhere along the line I said, why not make them come from all four directions? And then on top of that, I wanted to make sure the game could give you a score so you could compete against your friends, and that there were different game mode options for you to play. And obviously, we did the booby traps, which I'll explain more in a future episode, but those were actually an afterthought. So today I'm going to talk about three things in the system that runs the game. I'm going to talk about how it selects the walls, how it picks which direction the next wall comes from, and then how the game scores you. So let's get to it. So the wall selection and most of the other features for the game work on the concept that dispensers shoot out their items randomly. So we have a command block here that just says 1, and so if we hold down control and then middle click it, you'll see that you get a block with MDT data. You can put that into a dispenser, and then if you clone that dispenser to a spot and activate it, it'll randomly choose one of the blocks. So we got a 3, a 4, a 7, and that'll happen every single time. So how did we use this to pick the wall packs? Well, I've cloned the wall selection screen down here, and I also have all these command blocks here, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the different wall packs work based on the system that I designed. There's a dispenser down here. Now at the beginning of the game, this empty dispenser here will get cloned into place, and depending on the wall packs you select, it'll put droppers around these hoppers that'll put other blocks into that. So real quick, we'll put on all 5 just to see what happens.
Easy, medium, hard, letters and numbers.
Okay, so those are all put on, and now if we go ahead and input the wall selection, which is one of the things that happens when you start the game, you can see that over here there's been droppers that have been cloned into place with command blocks in them. Now, these are the droppers here. They get cloned. You see they're pointing in the direction that they need to be. And there's one that corresponds with each wall pack. Hard, letters, easy, medium, and wacky. And the command block that's in there, it tells the game to clone a block that's 24 away in the negative X direction to a spot next to it. Okay, so let's look and see what that means. When the game needs to choose a wall, it looks at this machine right here. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. That corresponds to the directions that the walls come from. When it needs to clone a new wall for the number 1 direction, it'll place a redstone block here and run these commands. Now, what does this do? This first command block here at the bottom just takes this dispenser that we talked about and places it over here and then activates it. So these blocks here all correspond to blocks over in that chunk over there. And if we understand what this little chunk of dispensers does on that side, then we can relate it to these blocks and we'll know exactly how it works. So we have easy, medium, hard, letters, and wacky. That just corresponds to the wall packs, and then we have the directions here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's inside these dispensers? There's 9 command blocks. Now each one of these command blocks will set a redstone block down below, next to one of the walls in the loaf of walls that we're trying to pick from to clone in. So this is how the randomized procedure works. This dispenser right here knows which wall packs we're looking at based on this system that I set up. So then when it clones it here, this dispenser comes from over there, and it can only put out the command block for the wall packs that we have selected. So if we were to only select easy, medium, and wacky walls, there would only be 3 command blocks in here corresponding to that. So it would pick one of these 3 dispensers that I had just talked about to get put over here, and then that dispenser would activate one of those 9 walls to clone in from below. So let's watch it one more time. You see it flash in and then get cleared out. And that's how it chooses the walls. But where does it get the walls from? So we're down underneath the room that you play the map in now, and you're looking at all the different walls. They're sitting here in the loaves the same way that I had done them in the original, except now they're stacked on top of each other and they come from all 4 directions. Isn't it great? So you'll see the lime green wall at the bottom. That corresponds to the easy walls, and then you have medium, hard, letters and numbers, and wacky walls up at the top. You have the different directions here, which I have marked out with big numbers on the ground. That's 1 over there, 2 here, 3 here, and 4 across from that. And so when the game wants to clone in a wall, it's not telling it to clone directly from up there. It's actually just telling it to place a redstone block here. That redstone block will immediately get deleted, and it'll relatively clone what's in this slice up to a position up above. And I really only did that just because it would have been awful to have to type these coordinates in individually for the command blocks in the dispenser. I didn't want to do that. So I just set up a system down here that would relay a set block, which is a lot easier. Now that you know how the game selects the walls you want to see, let's see how it picks the direction they come from. So the first direction in the game is always direction 1. And that's just because it's easier to do it that way. So if we come up here, this is the strip for direction 1, and we'll quickly talk about how that moves. It's got a clone command in here, and what that's doing is if we look down below, you'll see 1, 2, 3 pistons there. It's just cloning that strip between those 3 pistons in place, 1 block at a time across it. It's delayed by 4 ticks in between them. I just did that because it was slightly faster than the command block minecart, and I couldn't get the command block minecart to be reliable if I sped it up at all. So it's cloning this wall back and forth, pushing it that way, and we have the green wall up here that shows it's a direction part of the command block system. And you'll see it says place directional dispenser and then choose the next direction. So when the signal goes by here, it tells the computer what to do down below. So back down here at the computer, you can see I have another series of dispensers set up just like before. I have their command blocks that clone them into place up there. And then over here I have the directional triggers. So this, if you trigger this, it starts a wall from direction 1. Triggering this starts a wall from direction 2, and so on. So when up there, when it says place a directional dispenser, what that means is it needs to pick from one of these 4 on the left which one to put in next. Now, why does it have to pick? Because if you had a wall come from direction 1 and you picked your next wall as direction 2, the 2 walls would smash into each other and stick together. And obviously you can't have that happen or it breaks the whole game. So when the wall comes from direction 1, it can come from direction 1, 3, or 4 the next time, but it can't come from direction 2. So when the wall goes by direction 1, not 2 is the dispenser that gets cloned over to here. So that iron block would be gone when the game's on. The game would clone that dispenser over into place, and then when it was time to trigger the next wall, it would place a block there, it would pick the next direction with that command block, and then delete it. So I'll watch that one more time. Clone it into place. what you'll see happen there is that the game is actually running right now because of how I started it. You'll see it gets cloned into place, spawns in the command block, and then there's a redstone block that gets placed to remove it. So we're down inside the game chamber right now, and you'll see that I've set up this box of stained glass here. Now this box represents the scoring area, and you need to be inside this area to get the point for passing the wall. The game checks that you've passed the wall in the first frame of the animation when the wall is past this. So if we'll grab a slime block, why not? And now if the wall was coming from that question mark over there, as soon as the wall got to this point right here, the game would check and give a wall point to every person who's inside this box. So we'll just go up top and see where it actually carries out that operation. Okay, so we're up on the Direction 1 floor again, and we're at the spot in the line where it puts the wall just off from the platform and calculates your score. So there's 3 things that happen. This pink one is free-for-all modes, it'll give you a point. The yellow and blue one is for the team modes, and that sets a block down below in the computer, and I'll go show you that in a second. Then this third one over here is for booby traps, which we'll talk about in another episode. So let's go downstairs and see how that works. Okay, so this orange area is what calculates the team scoring, and that set block that it was doing was placing a redstone block here. Now what that's going to do if we look at the command is it's checking for anyone with an onboard score equal to 1. I have an objective set up that knows when people are on the platform. So it's testing for everyone who's on board and who's in the correct game mode, and we'll talk about game modes in the future as well. It's also looking at the blue team and then people who are in adventure mode, just so spectator mode after you lose doesn't get tracked towards your score. So this command block here will give a comparator output, and it'll be equal to the number of people that the command block finds when it tests for it, which is why you can play up to 15 people per team in Superhole. And then for every player, it just adds to the unknown player. I shouldn't say unknown, I should say the non-existent player known as blue team. It adds 1 to his score, so that when you add up all these, you know, if there's 5 people in the area when the wall goes by, it'll give them 5 points. And then the yellow one on the other side is the same thing. And up on top, this thing up here actually only runs when the bonus points booby trap comes up during the game. I had to do a separate one to make sure that it tracked because I didn't have enough space up in the booby trap logic. Okay, so that's enough information for one episode. In the future, I'll be talking about how the booby traps work, how the music system works, and then how some of the other things in the game mode came together. I hope you learned something. Please leave a comment below if you did, or if you have a question on anything, or if you have a suggestion for how to make this idea better. I'd really love to read them. I've been Avondale, thanks for watching.